Victoria Lane's conference room had floor-to-ceiling windows that made lesser executives feel like they were being interrogated by God himself. The Manhattan skyline stretched behind her like a backdrop of conquered territories, each building a reminder of someone who'd underestimated her and lost. She sat at the head of the obsidian table in a white Armani suit so crisp it could slice through bullshit. And today, there was plenty of it. "Run that by me again," Victoria said, her voice the temperature of a walk-in freezer. "You're telling me we lost the Singapore account because someone forgot to send the revised contract?" The VP of Operations, a man who made $400K a year to not forget things, looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. "Miss Lane, I can explain." "Please don't." Her private phone buzzed on the table. She glanced down. Adrian. Victoria's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her steel-gray eyes. She raised one finger, the universal signal for silence, and answered the video call. The screen filled with smooth, golden-brown skin that looked like it had been dipped in melted dark chocolate and buffed to a shine. Adrian was sprawled across his bed, shirtless, one muscled arm propping up his chin. His chest was perfectly framed in the shot, pecs rising and falling with theatrical slowness. He smiled. It was the smile of someone who knew exactly what he was doing. "Baby," Adrian purred, his voice dripping honey and sin. "Do you miss me? Or just these?" He shifted the camera angle down. Those goddamn pectorals filled the entire screen now, each one a perfect hemisphere of temptation, moving with his breath like they were performing a private dance just for her. Around the conference table, 12 executives froze like someone had hit pause on reality. Victoria's assistant Rebecca, standing by the door with a stack of reports, made a choking sound that she desperately tried to convert into a cough. Victoria's face remained absolutely neutral. She could have been reviewing quarterly earnings. "Adrian," she said, voice flat as a scalpel, "I'm in a meeting." Adrian bit his lower lip, eyes half-lidded. He flexed just slightly, and his chest bounced. "That never stopped you before, Vic." Rebecca dropped her reports, papers scattered across the marble floor like snow. The VP of Operations looked like he was having a stroke. Victoria felt heat crawl up her neck, a sensation she hadn't experienced in years. She was 60 goddamn years old. She did not blush. "Put your shirt on." "But you're still watching." Adrian's grin widened. He brought one hand up to trail fingers across his chest, slow and deliberate, like he was touching her instead of himself. "See? You can't even hang up." He was right. She couldn't. 30 seconds of silence stretched across the conference room. Somewhere, a phone buzzed. Someone coughed. The VP of Operations studied his notes like they contained the secrets of the universe. Victoria's jaw tightened. "We'll continue this conversation later." "The meeting or the video call?" Adrian's laugh was wicked and warm. "Both." She ended the call with more force than necessary. 12 pairs of eyes tried desperately to look anywhere else. Victoria set her phone face down and folded her hands on the table as if nothing had happened, as if her kept lover hadn't just shown his chest to her entire executive team. "Where were we?" Her voice could cut diamonds. "Ah, yes, the Singapore account that someone forgot about." The VP of Operations looked like he'd rather discuss the chocolate chest. After the meeting, after she'd fired 2 people and terrified the rest into competence, Victoria returned to her office and locked the door. She pulled out her phone. Typed, "You're a menace." Adrian's reply came instantly. "You love it." Then, besides, you didn't hang up. That's basically permission. Victoria stared at the message, then did something she almost never did in the middle of a workday. She smiled. 3 weeks later, the chocolate chest video stopped. Victoria noticed on a Tuesday. Adrian usually sent something by 9 p.m. A photo, a video, a voice message full of filthy promises that made her feel 30 again. But that night, her phone stayed dark. She told herself she didn't care. She had an empire to run, board meetings to dominate, competitors to crush. Wednesday, nothing. Thursday, a single text. "Sorry, busy today." Friday, exhausted. "Talk tomorrow?" Tomorrow never came. By the second week, Victoria was pacing her penthouse at 2 a.m. like a caged wolf, phone clutched in her hand, waiting for a notification that wouldn't arrive. This was absurd. She was Victoria Lane. Men didn't ghost her. She ended relationships with the efficiency of a corporate merger. Clean, decisive, no loose ends. She typed, "We need to talk." 3 hours later, can't tonight. She tried calling, straight to voicemail. She tried again, same result. The boy who used to interrupt her meetings with his chest, who'd beg to video call even when she was mid-presentation, who'd send 20 messages before noon just to make her laugh, vanished. Victoria stood in front of her floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan glittering below like scattered diamonds, and felt something she hadn't experienced in decades. Fear. Alexandra found her there at dawn, still in yesterday's clothes, whiskey glass empty on the side table. "Mom." Her daughter's voice was sharp with concern and something else. Satisfaction, maybe. "You look like hell." "I'm fine." You're standing in the dark, staring at your phone like a teenager who got dumped at prom. Victoria's fingers tightened around the device. "He didn't dump me." "Then what do you call this?" Alexandra gestured at the entire scene, the empty glass, the disheveled hair, the crack in Victoria's perfect armor. "He's ghosting you." Classic move. "I warned you about dating someone young enough to be." "Don't." The word came out like a gunshot. "Do not finish that sentence." Alexandra raised her hands in mock surrender, but her smile was cruel. "Mom," the boy moved on. "They always do. You were fun while it lasted, but now he's probably found someone his own age. Someone who doesn't need him to sign an NDA before breakfast." Victoria turned to face her daughter. Even disheveled and sleep-deprived, she was still terrifying. "Get out of my apartment." "I'm just trying to help." "Out." Alexandra left, but not before delivering one final strike. "You're pathetic when you're like this. It's almost sad." The door clicked shut. Victoria looked down at her phone. No new messages. She wasn't pathetic. She was worried. There was a difference. She opened her laptop and typed an email to her private investigator. Subject: background check, urgent. By noon, she'd have answers. The report arrived encrypted, flagged urgent, and disturbingly thin. Victoria read it 3 times, each pass making her stomach tighten. Adrian Cole, activity report, past 3 weeks. Dance company dissolved, 14 days ago. Employment terminated at Chateau Chocolat, 19 days ago. Bank account, multiple overdrafts, credit cards, maxed. Phone records, minimal activity, no outgoing calls to known contacts except Ethan Ward. Social media, no posts, no activity, account appears dormant. Current residence, rent payment switched from autopay to cash. Known associates, Ethan Ward, frequent contact, erratic schedule. Note, subject appears to be deliberately reducing digital footprint. Reason unknown, no evidence of new relationships or suspicious activity. Victoria closed the laptop and reached for her whiskey. Her assistant knocked. "Miss Lane, you have the board call in 10. Cancel it." "But..." "Cancel it, Rebecca, and get me Ethan Ward's current location." Whose Victoria's look could have melted steel. "Right away, Miss Lane." 20 minutes later, Rebecca returned with an address scrawled on a post-it note. Industrial District, Brooklyn. The kind of neighborhood where Victoria's Bentley would get stripped for parts in under 5 minutes. "Do you want me to call security?" Rebecca asked carefully. "No." Victoria was already grabbing her coat, black cashmere, because even when hunting down her missing lover, she had standards. "I'm going alone." "Miss Lane, I don't think..." "I'm not paying you to think, Rebecca. I'm paying you to run my schedule." She swept out of the office, leaving her assistant staring after her with a mixture of concern and the distinct sense that she'd just witnessed the beginning of something either very romantic or very illegal. Possibly both. The building looked like it had been abandoned since the Reagan administration. Cracked windows, rusted fire escape, graffiti that had graffiti on top of it. Victoria's heels clicked against broken concrete as she approached the entrance. The door was unlocked, never a good sign. Inside, the smell hit her first. Burnt sugar, cocoa, machine oil, desperation. The warehouse was enormous and mostly empty. Afternoon light streamed through broken skylights, illuminating floating dust particles and the wreckage of someone's dream. In the center of the space, a massive chocolate tempering machine that looked like it had died mid-operation. Around it, scattered like evidence at a crime scene. Bags of cocoa powder, some burst open, molds in various states of failure. A folding table covered in notebooks, invoices, and what appeared to be a business plan. Energy drink cans. So many energy drink cans. And on a whiteboard, in increasingly manic handwriting. Coal chocolate, bean to bar. Ethical sourcing. Luxury market. Target, Q3 launch. That last line had been crossed out violently. Victoria's breath caught. In the corner, on a sleeping bag that had seen better days, was Adrian. He was curled on his side, fully dressed in clothes that were stained with chocolate and exhaustion. His face, God, his beautiful face, was gaunt. Dark circles under his eyes, his hair, usually styled perfectly, a mess. Dried cocoa powder dusted his arms like ash. He looked like he'd been running on nothing but caffeine and stubbornness for weeks. Victoria's heels clicked across the concrete. Adrian jolted awake like someone had fired a gun. His eyes went wide, actual panic flooding his face when he saw her. "Vic!" He scrambled upright, hands coming up like he could somehow hide the entire warehouse. "No. Fuck, you can't!" His voice cracked on the last word. "Don't look at me like this." But Victoria was already looking, taking in every detail. The weight he'd lost, the tremor in his hands, the chocolate smeared on skin that used to be oiled and perfect for her camera. His chocolate chest, the one he'd flexed and shown off and used to drive her insane, was hidden under a stained t-shirt, his shoulders hunched like he was trying to disappear. Something in Victoria's chest broke. She'd felt a lot of things in her 60 years. Triumph, rage, cold satisfaction. But this was different. What happened? Her voice came out softer than she intended. Adrian's jaw worked. He looked away, then at the floor, anywhere but at her. "Nothing, I'm fine. You should go. Adrian, please." His voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Just leave. I don't want you to see." He gestured vaguely at himself, at the warehouse, at everything. "This." Victoria crossed the remaining distance between them and grabbed his chin, forcing him to look at her. His eyes were bloodshot. "Ashamed. Talk," she said. The story came out in pieces, each one harder than the last. Adrian had wanted to build something. His own thing. Not Victoria's kept lover. Not Alexandra's walking punchline. Not the boy who got paid to look pretty and send chest pics. Something real. "I thought..." His laugh was bitter. "I thought if I could make my own chocolate brand, you'd see me differently. Like I was worth something more than just..." He gestured at his body with disgust. "More than this." Victoria's throat tightened. He'd partnered with someone from culinary school. They'd found a space, bought equipment, developed recipes. Adrian had been working doubles, dancing during the day, making chocolate at night, running on 4 hours of sleep and pure ambition. Then the partner disappeared with half the seed money. The equipment broke down. The investors pulled out. The debt piled up faster than he could shovel. "I had to sell everything," Adrian said hollowly. "My car, my furniture. I'm working 3 gig jobs just to make rent and pay back what I owe." He finally looked at her, and his eyes were raw. "I wasn't avoiding you because I met someone else. I was avoiding you because I didn't want you to see me as a failure." Victoria felt something hot and sharp lodge in her throat. "I kept thinking, if I could just fix it, if I could just get one more investor, one more chance, then I could come back to you with something to show. Something that proved I was worth." "Stop." Victoria's voice was rough. "Vic, stop talking before I do something we'll both regret." Adrian blinked. "What?" Victoria yanked him forward by his stained shirt and kissed him. Not gently, not carefully. She kissed him like she was claiming territory, like she was furious and terrified and desperate all at once. When she pulled back, Adrian's eyes were wide and shocked. "You idiot," Victoria said, voice shaking. "I didn't fall for the chocolate. I fell for the boy who made it." Adrian's breath hitched. "Do you..." His voice cracked. "Do you still want me? Like this?" Victoria looked at him. Really looked. At the exhaustion carved into his face, the defeat in his shoulders, the chocolate dust in his hair. She reached out and ripped open his shirt, buttons scattered across concrete. Underneath, his chest was still there, thinner than before, stress having melted some of the muscle, but still his. Still beautiful. Still the chest that had interrupted her board meetings and made her feel like a goddamn teenager again. "Does this answer your question?" Victoria growled. Then she pulled him against her, and Adrian collapsed into her arms like a puppet with cut strings. His face pressed into her neck. His breathing was ragged and uneven. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." "Don't apologize." Victoria's hand came up to tangle in his hair. "Don't you dare apologize for trying to build something." "But I failed. So we try again." Adrian pulled back just enough to stare at her. "What? You heard me." Victoria's smile was sharp as a blade. "We're going to rebuild your business. Properly this time. With actual funding and a legal team that isn't actively robbing you." I can't ask you to. You're not asking, I'm telling. She cupped his face in both hands. You're mine, Adrian Cole, and I take care of what's mine. For the first time in weeks, Adrian smiled. Really smiled. Yes, ma'am. Victoria's penthouse suite at the Mark had views of Central Park that cost more per night than most people's monthly rent. Adrian stood in the doorway of the bathroom, fresh from the shower, wrapped in nothing but a towel. Steam curled around him like smoke. Water droplets traced down his chest. That perfect chocolate chest, clean now, glowing warm and bronze in the soft lighting. He looked at Victoria where she sat on the edge of the bed, and something vulnerable crossed his face. It's been a while since you touched them, he said quietly. I wasn't sure if you still wanted to. Victoria's eyes dragged slowly up from his chest to his face. When she smiled, it was predatory and possessive and full of promise. Come here. Let me check if they still belong to me. Adrian's breath caught. He crossed the room slowly, deliberately, giving her time to look her fill. When he reached her, he let the towel drop. Then he climbed onto her lap, straddling her thighs, and guided her hands to his chest. Always yours, he whispered. Victoria's fingers spread across warm skin and solid muscle. Her thumbs traced the curves of his pecs, testing their weight, relearning their shape. Adrian's breathing hitched as she touched him, his head falling back slightly. I missed these, Victoria admitted, voice rough. I missed you. I'm here now. Adrian's hands covered hers, pressing them more firmly against his chest. I'm not going anywhere. She pulled him down into a kiss, slow this time, deep and claiming. Adrian melted into it, his chest pressing against hers as his arms wrapped around her neck. When they finally broke apart, Victoria was smiling, really smiling. The kind of smile that would have terrified her board of directors because it meant she was happy, and happy Victoria was dangerously unpredictable. We're going to destroy everyone who screwed you over, she said conversationally. Adrian grinned. That's my girl. And then we're going to build your chocolate empire. Our chocolate empire. Fine, our empire. Victoria's hand slid down his sides possessively. But first. Her smile turned wicked. First, I'm going to remind you exactly why you're mine. Adrian's laugh was warm and full of promise as she pulled him down onto the bed. Outside, Manhattan glittered like scattered diamonds. Inside, the Empress finally had her chocolate boy back where he belonged. In her arms, in her bed, and wrapped around her heart in ways she'd never admit out loud. But they both knew the truth, and that was enough.